Hello, guys, and welcome to today's 2022 off-season hurricane outlook and discussion for March 10th, 2022. And then in today's discussion, we're going to be looking at the Nino 3.4 index, the sea-to-sea surface temperatures for the Western Atlantic and the tropical Atlantic. We're going to be looking at the GFS and the European model. Even though there's nothing out there, we're still going to look anyways, because that's pretty much protocol for my outlooks and discussions, whether it be off-season or on-season. And then we're going to take a look at some interesting things later on with the ENSO forecast and what could be a potentially busy June, July, August for Florida. So with that being said, right now we're looking at the sea surface temperatures for the Nino 3.4 region. And as you can see, since early December, it's been on pretty much a roller coaster ride, up and down, up and down. And then we finally get up to here somewhere at the start of February, and we're right there on that threshold for La Nina and cool neutral. But then you see this, dip off here, and this has been a pretty amazing dip off here because ever since then we have cooled down about a half a degree Celsius, and we did hit the moderate La Nina stage a few days ago, but since then the temperatures in the 3.4 region has increased a little bit to negative 0.976. Now, yeah, it's going up a little bit right now, but the trade winds or the easterlies are really blasting through the Nino Enzo regions, and I do expect this number to start dipping again at some point in the next 2 weeks. So at this point, I feel like the first 3 months are locked in a La Nina. I feel that's what I think and what I feel. Like I said, like some people say, once the Enzo gets to a certain threshold, it takes about 3 or 4 months for the atmosphere to catch up with those numbers. And this is what I feel, in my opinion, is going to be where the first 2 or 3 months are going to be La Nina based for the hurricane season. So with that being said, let's take a look at the sea surface temperatures for the Western Atlantic here. And as you can see here, these shelf waters are starting to warm up a little bit because, not long ago, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, this was like 17, 18, 19 degrees on the shelf water. And now we're getting up there to like 20s, 21s, and 22s now. So we're starting to warm up a little bit in the Gulf of Mexico. And this has been the trend for like I don't know, probably 5 to 7 years now that we've definitely had a very warm Gulf compared to normal. So, and I do expect that trend to continue this year, but I do got an opinion that I'm going to share later on, but that some people may not agree with and some people may agree with. We'll just have to, see, how that all plays out. But as you can see here, we're approaching 25s and 26s here in the central Gulf of Mexico too. So if this was May or June, this would be good to go for tropical cyclone development for some parts of the Gulf here. As you can see here, we're getting towards the 26s and 27s here near the Keys, Florida, which is unusually warm for this time of year. And we even see some 26s creeping up here on the east coast of Florida, near where I live in Port St. Lucie. Besides that, you see your 27s, 28s, and even some 29s popping in here in the Caribbean. So this is all warmer compared to normal. But then again, the Caribbean is always warm year round, and if there was no shear around, Caribbean can support tropical systems all year round if it wanted to. But thankfully, the shear is on the high side, and we don't really have to worry about that. All right, so if we can get this load, here's the sea surface temperatures for the tropical Atlantic here. And as you can see, most of these warm anomalies here are below 10 degrees north, which, the MDR is it's been cooling down lately. So we're going to have to see how this rebounds going out through time. But you can see that there's 29s, 27s, 28s just waiting to creep up north as time progresses throughout the year. And then Also, the sun angle is going to be even greater. The sun is going to be out even longer, as time goes by. And that's going to really start to matter when we get to like daylight savings time or, vice versa, whatever. When the days grow longer, that's going to really start to matter. So, um, yeah, the Eastern Caribbean is definitely warm enough for tropical development. And so too in the Bahamas. There's 26s here in the Bahamas, and you don't really see 26s in the Bahamas in you know mid March, because I feel like March 10th is when it starts to be mid month. And we got 26s there, and we're flirting on 27s in some spots of the Bahamas here, and that's going to be interesting to see how that evolves over the next couple of weeks and months to come before hurricane season. All right, so here we are. We're going to look at the GFS model. Obviously, it's March. We're not going to really see anything here, but I want to point out patterns. What is what high pressures do to change the course of a tropical cyclone. And this was initialized at 18Z here. And as you can see, we got this massive high pressure that is dominating the Atlantic right now. And what this would do if this was, like June or July or August, this high pressure here would push, any system to the west. And this high pressure setup would be bad news bears for the states. Um, we're going to see how this evolves. And as you can see, 24 hours, it stays stout. And as you can see, this cold front comes in and starts deteriorating the high here. And this is another key factor here too. If it was later, later on in the year, these cold fronts right here, they attract tropical systems, and what that would do, you see the high, right? You see where it goes, and then it starts to curve up. That's the endings of the highs from the east and west here. So what a tropical system would do was it'll still go west until it hits one of these curved lines here, and then it'll find that weakness with the front, and it will head out with the front. It will either go out on its own or connect it to a front as it goes by. And here's a perfect point right here. There's high pressure here, the Bermuda high, and then there's the Azores high, and then there's a weakness here because of the front, right? So any tropical system would find that weakness and head right out to sea, which is good news for the United States if this was later on in the season. But we're in the off season now, so after that, you can see that the high, starts to build back in again. And normally we only go 120 hours out in these things. This would bring the systems back west again. So we can thank our lucky stars that it's not June, July, August, September, October, or we'll just bad news bears. All right, so here is the European, and it shows pretty much the same thing here as the GFS. A stout ridge of high pressure that is dominating the Atlantic here, and as we go out through time, you can see that the same thing pretty much occurs here than the GFS shows. It shows, the front. You got an extra tropical cyclone that's bombing out here in the ocean, and then you can see these weakness here. Like I said in the GFS run, any tropical cyclone would find that weakness and try to follow that extra tropical cyclone, and probably become an extra tropical cyclone in and of itself later on. So that is interesting to see. And as you can see, the high pressure, starts to build back in again for a later time and place. All right, so before we get out of here today, there are two things that I want to look at here that is very, very important for what can be to come in the Atlantic hurricane season of 2022. And the first one we're going to look at is the ENSO forecast. And as you can see right now, February, March, April, we're at 100% chance of La Nina right now. And that's pretty obvious, because I showed you this Nino 3.4 index. We're clearly near the moderate La Nina stage. So that only makes sense that we're still in a 100% chance of La Nina here. And as we go out through time, March, April, May, it only goes down probably about 6 or 7%. And then once we get to April, May, and June, it starts to dip pretty much to 80%, and then 65% come the start of hurricane season, and then about 50% for June, July, and August, and then we pretty much even out there for the rest of the season. Obviously, we're still in March, so this could still change. We can still see a strengthening La Nina, or we could be seeing a end zone neutral, as we go out through time. But for right now, you know, I still expect La Nina conditions to persist through at least you know maybe the June July timeframe. So I expect a pretty decently active hurricane season coming up here in a couple months. Which, by the way, I will have uh, my official forecast come April like 15th. I'm gonna do it mid April, so stay tuned for that. And that should be interesting times. Um, Besides that, you can see where the El Nino favor forecast probabilities are, and they're really low. It only gets as high as 15% by October, November, and December. So you can forget about El Nino. That's not going to happen. Um, it's just it's either La Nina for a third year or Enzo neutral. So with that being said, let's take a look at one final piece of stuff here. And this is the June, July, August, precip anomalies from the CFS for the time frame of June, July, and August. As you can see here, a lot of the United States here is going to be under exceptional drought here, and this is not a good look here, as this will mean that no rain or even tropical cyclones or heavy thunderstorms near coasts at all for June, July, and August. At least this is what the forecast is showing right now. And as you can see, there are some people that say, there could be a redux of the Dust Bowl from 1933. And, if this keeps up, that may be a possibility. Um, as you can see here, all the way down to Mexico, even in places in the Caribbean, it's dry. Now you see the only place in the United States, besides a very tiny portion of North Carolina with a little slight increase of precipitation, is Florida. You can see the dark greens in there. So this can mean that we can have a pretty busy, tropical season for Florida come June, July, and August. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be tropical systems. It could be a mixture of both tropical systems and your normal pop up, heating of the day, showers and thunderstorms for Florida. But, as for right now, there's a lot of talk about Florida Peninsula being the focal point of this year's hurricane season. And right now, I tend to agree with that. And, that's not a bias. I'm just going off of what I've been hearing. So, and we looked at the CFS model, and it showed pretty decent precipitation anomalies for Florida, and all that stuff. So right now, CFS says Florida is going to have a busy June, July, August, whether that be tropical systems or your everyday pop up showers and thunderstorms. So just keep that in mind as we go out through time. Anyways, this is going to be it for me for today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Either Saturday or Sunday, I'll be back here again with another outlook and discussion for the Atlantic off season. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and have a nice day.